Hello, everybody, and welcome to the live. It has been quite a while since actually it's Amira who likes to give an interesting perspective on trending hot topics, what's going on in the news, the media, pop culture, and all of the things on the YouTube streets. It has been such a long time since I have gone live, but there are not very many things that can inspire me to come out of the shadows and want to get on my platform and re engage with you guys. But what's going on with Kanye West post his interview across Drink Champs has really just shaken me to my core. And it made me want to come out and go live on my YouTube channel just to kind of give my thoughts and opinions on what I think is going on behind the scenes, um, and kind of share my perspective. You know, there were a lot of comments that Kanye has made in the past, of which I guess over the Drink Champs interview would be very offensive to someone who may be grieving the loss of a loved one, in particular George Floyd. And I just want to be upfront and honest that I was deeply traumatized by what happened with George Floyd and how it was publicized all across social media. Um, I could only imagine the pain of losing a loved one and then having that loss be televised across the world for millions of people to see over and over and over again. Regardless of what your personal beliefs are about whether or not it was his fault, the cop's fault, or whoever's fault, that does not and will never negate the fact that millions of people watch someone lose their life, what seems like in a very terrible, traumatic way. And so for that, I am deeply, apologetic, almost in a sense of like secondhand embarrassment, secondhand humiliation, secondhand concern for the comments that were made, whether we as human beings agree with them or not. That is just not something you should just come out and say unless you are backing up your claim with very documented evidence. And I mean evidence to the point of without refute. But that's neither here nor there. That's not the main point of my conversation today. I wanted to come on mostly to talk about um, why I believe Kanye West is behaving the way that he is behaving. And in no means to make an excuse for him. This is just me literally making an observation about what I think I'm witnessing as a viewer, as someone who's listened to his music, who's been a fan, who has supported his business endeavors, and who has given him advice in the past, even though, like, why would he be listening to me? What I am seeing is someone who is very angry, very angry. And at this point, I don't believe that Kanye West is operating from a point of, I don't think his purview is 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 holistic. I don't think he's operating with the tools he needs to win in business, to win in life, to win in strategy, to win in war that he keeps saying he wants to be at. I don't think he's operating with the tools he needs to win. And when you back someone into a corner and you strip them, because I want to talk a little bit about colonization, because I think that plays a huge role here. Um, and what is colonization when we think about it in the context of history? And I'm going to be very simplistic here because I'm not a historian, nor am I about to give a history lesson. But I want to say that when you think of colonization, when you think about invading a country, you think about someone, an outsider, coming in to your culture, to your brand, to what you have built as an individual and taking it over. So what does that mean in the context of Kanye West? Kanye West is undoubtedly a musical genius. He's incredibly gifted at design. He's incredibly talented artistically. However, he has outwardly admitted to being dyslexic, to struggling with articulating himself, perhaps even being on the Asperger's or autism spectrum in some capacity. And these are his words coming out of his mouth, not me assuming this about him. And when you have someone who has not surrounded themselves with the right level of business savants to school you to the game of how it works, you find yourself in these situations. Kanye West is hurt because despite the fact that he has brought so much substance to the table, despite the fact that he has pushed so far for what he believes, he stuck his neck out on the line for the culture when he made that comment that the former president did not care about black people. He feels like in return, even if it's not based 100% in fact, I think he strongly feels in return that the culture, meaning black people, have not shown him the same level of respect or supported his brand. I mean, it is not lost upon me that probably the biggest people who support the Yeezy Yee brand are not African American. It's not. It's Jordan. It's like Jordan's in the context of its infamy, but when it comes to having that level of black momentum, it's not there in the same way that I think he thought it would be. I think he's angry with black people. I think he's angry with um he keeps making these comments about Jewish people, and it is not to be misunderstood that in a well-deserved manner, because I don't think that we should walk around having a chip on our shoulders about Jewish people because they have done what we should have done as black people in terms of organizing ourselves as a culture and as a people, and buying from yourselves, investing in yourselves, giving back to ourselves, and hiring black across the spectrum, because that is how the Jewish culture has historically operated. And this is not a this is how they operate. They are taught from a young age that when you want to start a business, you go to your rabbi, you go to the business community in your own familial heritage. And that is where you get your crowdfunding. That is where you get your seed money. That is what he has been told. That is what he has been taught. That is what they do. And Kanye is, I think he's, I want to say jealous is a strong word, but I think he got taught a very strong lesson around business when it came to how business people in real business move. Business in business, Kanye, and I'm talking to you like you're going to listen to this, but you never know how the internet travels. In business, there is no fair deal. Someone's going to get the short end of the stick, Kanye. And the person who generally gets the short end of the stick is the person who is ill equipped with the resources to defend themselves from a strategy perspective, from a resource perspective, from an opportunity perspective, from a network perspective, from a supply chain perspective, from a contract evaluation perspective, from accounting perspective, from all angles. If you are not equipped to line up your business, Kanye, from end to end, if you are not equipped with human blockchain technology, because you have to think of yourself, you need to be able to encrypt that transaction from end to end, which is what historically the Jewish community has always been able to do. They have been able to, in tech terms, encrypt their business from end to end. They will have a Jewish attorney, a Jewish accountant, a Jewish business owner. They will hire their own in all of the leadership positions. They will reinvest into their communities. And that is how they operate. I don't think, I think he had a rude awakening, because you get into business thinking someone's going to give you a fair deal, thinking that if you just do your best work and if you just bring what you need to the table, you will get a fair shake. But it does not work that way in business. It does not work. And this is why I talk to people all the time about strategy, about how you get manipulated in corporate America, about corporate politics, about how the game goes. That is why that is my business, because I understand that being excellent, Kanye, is not enough. It will never be enough. It is the people you surround yourself with, because this is a game of survival. And he's on the internet. I'm going to play this clip in a minute, and it's going to explain exactly what this man is feeling. He is feeling taken over by everybody in his environment. But the one person, Kanye, and you know, I always try to come and give you some real school game, whether business or whatever. Like, you don't need to listen to me. I'm just a regular person from Newark. But I tend to lean in your favor on most things. But on this thing, I have to be honest. And if I'm being honest with you, Kanye, you have to take accountability for your lack of business knowledge, not the creative. It's undisputed. The creative you have on lock, but you have to take accountability for not encrypting your transaction from end to end. You had $100+ million that you sank into a bank that, according to public records, speculation, allegations, because I don't know what's going on there behind the scenes. I don't know what's behind the scenes or why you got kicked out. But according to what is being published on mainstream media, you have plugged $140 million into an organization that you did not do your proper due diligence on. About number one, the way they feel about Black people. Number two, how they support Black business. Number three, whether or not they would even invest in your brand. You went on an interview and said that you couldn't even get a deal flow from this bank, but yet you kept your money there. You couldn't get a deal flow with 140 million liquid? You're telling me they wouldn't give you a deal flow? With that kind of money, you could have taken your money anywhere, Kanye. You could have taken your money anywhere, but you took it there. Why? And you, hey Natia, why did you take your money there, Kanye? Because you also, like most people in America, bought into the security of the transaction. If you have 140 million, you're probably going to place your money in one of the most powerful financial institutions in the world, who transacts billions of transactions a day, who has connections and ties all across this world. One of the most powerful organizations. But what you didn't do is the due diligence on what they would do when you needed to actually do business beyond banking. When you needed to structure a deal, when you needed a deal flow, when you needed asset-based financing, when you were trying to get an M&A firm, when you were trying to broker a deal or get a JV deal. Did you have support from your bank? Did they make introductions on your behalf? What's the rest of the story, Kanye? Because from what you're saying, it sounds like you knew the devil you were dancing with and you kept dancing. You knew the music was slowing with that bank, but you kept on dancing like he said last song. When they denied you a deal flow, or when you couldn't get a deal flow, why was your money still there? Why did they have the power to terminate you rather than you terminating them? If it's true, I'm confused. More information required, Kanye. More information required. And if you think that this isn't systematic, if you think that this isn't systematic, you're going to be in for a rude awakening, Kanye. Because you know how you break somebody down when you want to colonize them, take them over. Number one, it's like an episode of Mean Girls. Remember when the girl from Mean Girls was like, how do we take down Regina George? And it was like, first thing, we take away her hot boyfriend. What did they do? Kim Kardashian, who historically dates Black men, all of a sudden is dating Pete Davidson, which is not lost on me that he is a Jewish man. Maybe it's a true love connection. Maybe it was a plan on their behalf. Who knows? Who knows? And then said Jewish man parades and embarrasses you over and over again, talking about his sleeping, his sexual escapades with your wife, tattooing your children's name on his neck as if he now possesses and owns them, because that is what a tattoo is. That is a branding. You want to talk about industry plants? Are you absolutely sure? You don't know. I don't know. I'm just asking the question. I'm asking the question. First, take away hot boyfriend. What they do to Virginia George? They try to take away Aaron Samuels. Second thing, take away the army of skanks. You got on this interview and said that they've stripped you of all your industry friends. You seem very concerned about the manner in which Virgil, who was your best friend, passed away. They said it was cancer. You're inconclusive about it. They stonewall your business. You can't get a deal no more. And now they kick you out of your bank. If when you strip somebody of their resources, of their family, and of their sanity, it is a way to take someone out in a slow death. I feel like I am literally watching Kanye West be terminated before our eyes, whether by his own volition or by systematic design. I feel like that's what we're watching right now. And I'm gonna play this clip. I'm gonna play this clip, and I want you guys to tell me what you think you're seeing. I'm gonna share my screen in 1 second and play it for you guys. And I'm gonna have to interrupt it because if not, I'll get copyright flagged. So just bear with me. Oh, where's my clip? Oh, it was here. Oh, shoot. Hold on 1 second. I lost the clip. Give me 1 second, guys. I should have put it on my desktop. Which it is now. So sorry about that, guys.
This point, I talked to Cube because Cube been labeled an anti-Semite. First of all,
wait, hold on.
Because it's no backing down at this point. I talked to Cube.
You heard him? It's no backing down at this point. He's going too far. He knows he's going too far. It's no backing down. He has made so many statements that he's got to stand on. He's got to rise. He knows that it's over for him. He knows it's like coming to the light. It's like finally realizing after all you've been through in the industry, after all the intellectual property you've given away, after all the hustle you've put in, the realization that at the end of the day, this is business. And in business, it's not fair. There are no friends. You are on a different level, Kanye. You are on a different level. No one's going to shake your hand and wipe your nose at the end of the night and change you. It's every man for themselves. And every man is looking out for the next best deal. And that is why you are on the internet talking about Adidas stole your designs. Do you seriously believe that they didn't bring you into that brand to learn the ins and outs of your operation, to learn all your creative, and to replicate it? That's what they do in China all the time. They literally see what works, replicate it for a cheaper cost, and sell it back to us. And we, as the true capitalists we are in America, are always looking for the cheapest, best deal. And that is exactly what they did with you. They slutted you out for the cheapest, best deal. And if you trademarked your stuff, you licensed your stuff, I'm sure. You have patents, I'm sure. But what you should have had is like design royalty. If you knew that they were going to copy your stuff anyway, because in business, you have to be able to think that way. You should have said, cool, I know y'all want to reproduce my product for a cheaper cost. Let y'all get this licensing piece so I can get a piece of the piece y'all gonna steal from me regardless. But here's another thing you have to keep in mind, and I'm gonna say this because it has to be said. Bear in mind that when you have high royalties on a deal, when you are about to have RSUs invest, you are about to have your stock hit a different level of price, you are about to unlock a level of wealth. What did that woman say? Remember, everybody, when this whole thing happened, and I'm blanking on her name right now, and I feel it's so disrespectful because I should not be blanking on this woman's name right now. But she was the civil rights activist who made that compelling speech after everybody was all up in arms. And she talked about how in the game of Monopoly, when Black people start to get ahead, they knock all your pieces off the board and you got to start over. And in the game of Monopoly, for Black people, we play our hand. And as soon as they say, okay, you can play the game, but you got to give us a piece of every single number you draw. Kimberly Jones, that was her name. Sorry. Remember that impassioned speech she gave that was viral? That is what it is. Kanye, when you reach that level of wealth, wipe you off the board and start over. And you're self-destructing right now. You're giving them everything they ever needed to complete the final piece of destroying you, which is to have you completely lose your mind and turn against your own people. They're stripping you of your culture. That's what they're doing right now. They're literally painting you out with your help to be someone who is against Black people. With your help, you're helping them do this. It's bizarre to me. But let me finish playing more of the clip.
Cuban labeled an anti-Semite. First of all, we are Semite. We Jew. So I can't be anti-Semite.
Now, I want to talk about this comment for a minute. As somebody who has literally spent so much of her life in corporations with powerful white people at a very high level, do you understand the amount of times I have heard white people come out of their mouths, and I'm not saying Jewish people, I'm saying white people across the board, come out of their mouths and say, I can't be racist because we all from Africa? Do you understand the amount of times white people have capitalized off the Black experience by saying, technically, we all Black? But if he says, technically, we're all Jew, he's talking something different. Do I think it's time, place, and context? Yes, but let's not let it be lost on us that people do it to Black people all the time. Oh, we all came from Africa. Technically, we all Black. I can't be racist because my auntie, cousin, cousin, baby, sister, brother was Black too. People say that all the time. All the time. Does it make it right? No. But does it make it fair? He said it. Hey, Vicky Sweets. Hey, Vicky Sweets. And another thing I want to say, how many times, if allegedly what Kanye West said is true, and the bank closed his accounts down because of his potentially anti-Semitic comments, because we didn't see the full clip, apparently it got cut out. If that is the case, then how come every bank in America did not stonewall the former president when he said all of his anti-Black rhetoric? How come every bank in America did not shut down every account of Harry Weinstein, every account of every pedophile who has ever been accused, every celebrity, millionaire, billionaire who has ever said anything racially charged, who has ever come out and expressed their political views in a manner that did not align with the agenda? Why isn't everybody's accounts getting shut down? That's all. I'm just asking the question, because if it was good for the goose, it has to be good for the gander. So shut everybody down. If that is the way, if it's true, if that's what happened, then run the business, keep the board the same for everybody. You say something, you're shut down. Your account's frozen. Do you know the amount of fraud and corruption that goes on? Do you know the amount of fraud and corruption that goes on? The amount of firms that have been publicly investigated for helping, allegedly, the former president cheat the American system and tax evade, allegedly, and fudge numbers, allegedly? It's public record. I don't have to make it up. You can literally Google accounting firm that helped defraud ex-president records. Look them up. They're a major firm. Did anybody shut their accounts down? I'm just super confused here. I don't know. I'm not saying he was right for what he said, but what I'm saying is let's make it good for the goose, good for the gander. I talked about the George Floyd stuff earlier when I first started the live CR. If you want to scroll back, you can listen. But I made commentary on that. That was wild. You can scroll back. I don't want to revisit. You can scroll back. But yes, that was just crazy. That was crazy. But anyhow.
First of all, I need my 4 stadiums back. The 78 media outlets that call me abuser when I was trying to get that heroin addict away from my kids that was tattooing my kids' names on them, Skeet, Pete Davidson, it popping up. You know what I'm saying? It's like they...
Now, this is documented proof. As a matter of public record, Pete has admitted to having a substance abuse problem. As a matter of public record, he has been accused of saying inappropriate things with respect to Ariana Grande and other women. Documented. Documented. Is there a campaign that's out here shutting down his accounts? This man was still on Saturday Night Live, despite all the crazy things he had been accused of in the media, and despite the fact that he posed a legitimate threat, if in fact he was still using. He admitted to being a user. This is a matter of fact. It's strange to me. I was very adamant about Kanye West's defense of his children. I don't think a man who is willing, wants to be a part of his kids' lives and is that passionate about it should not have a fair opportunity to do so, especially when the mother is potentially making questionable decisions with a man that, as I predicted, she wouldn't be with a year, if that. They are not together anymore. It was all a ploy to break this man down. And that's what happened. It's a hot mess. But Kanye has got to get control of his emotions, of his behavior, of his rhetoric. Being angry does not give you an excuse to disrespect the world. It just doesn't. It doesn't, Kanye. I understand you're hurt, but it does not give you an excuse to disrespect the world. And you're going to have to live with this. You're going to have to live with your participation in your own demise. Because that's what he's doing.
Trevor Noah, not even from America. Right. He just looked black. Right? Gonna say, yo, Kim, it's gonna get dangerous. So they putting all that he crazy. He's so OJ. Nori just want the family back together. Right. I just want the family back together. Right. Kim is a Christian. On TMZ, I just saw yesterday, they said
she's a Christian.
Davidson and Kim have sex by the fireplace to honor their grandmother.
Yeah, they did delete the episode. I was going to talk about that too. They deleted it because they're getting a lot of backlash.
This Christian woman that has 4 black children to put that out as a message in the media. So when
and honestly, Kanye is fighting a very hard uphill battle, and I can't absolve him of his participation in his own destruction. Though he is willingly participating. They know when you have been with somebody for so long, you know exactly what you need to say and do in order to trigger them. Do you think does Kanye think for a second that the powerful people at Addidas, Gap, the record label, the music industry, everybody who he's ever interacted with for a business transaction, who spent some serious time with him, do you think they don't know his triggers? Do you think they don't know exactly what they can say and do to get him to self-destruct? He has to get control of himself because that's what they're doing. I'm gonna hand you the work order, and it would be faster to just take him out. He knows and the crazy thing is that he knows that they're trying to take him out. He literally in this episode flat out says, come ill me then. Come ill me then. He knows what's happening. But he knows what's happening. He knows he can't stop it. But he's also going to participate. He's like, yo, if this is it, I'm going to say everything I ever wanted to say. I feel like that's how he's acting right now, acting like a man with nothing to lose. And you know what kind of people are dangerous? There's 2 kind of dangerous people in this world: a man with nothing to lose and a man with something to prove. And Kanye West has nothing to prove because he's already proven himself to be successful, to be a billionaire, to do all of these things. But you know what? He no longer has nothing to lose. He don't have his family. He done been stonewalled out of his business. Adidas has allegedly stolen his prototypes and took his business ideas. He negotiated a deal with the Gap that went forward. Now it's completely falling apart, but they already got the seat at the table. They already heard what his future plans were for the investment of the business, and they already know the strategy. Because do you think that they got into a joint venture deal with you without you putting together a CRIM? Right? You had to put together an investment pitch. Why should we go into business with you? You don't think he brought his strategy to the table, his 3, 4, 5 year out projection plan? He did. They already got the sauce. They got the recipe. I'm sorry. Kanye still the sauce, but he done gave him the recipe, and that's why he's angry. But he walked into war defenseless. He's been in the business way too long to not know how this is going to go and how these people are going to move. He's been in the business way too long. At some point, he's got to say, what role did I play in getting the shit into the stick? He's got to ask himself that. What role did I play into getting the shit into the stick? Because the game has not changed. The business game been the same for 450 years. He gave him the recipe. Absolutely, Vicky Sweets. He's got to ask himself, what role did I play? And I think he's angry with himself. He'll never admit it, but he's angry with himself. He's angry with himself for falling for the okie doke. He's angry with himself for thinking that his friends would come to the table and back him. But he has to understand, I think something like 20% of the world's CEOs, 20 or more percent of the world's CEOs are psychopaths. And what are psychopaths? They lack empathy. They're incredibly intelligent, incredibly crafty, but they lack empathy. All they see is wins and outcomes. They literally make decisions based off of how it will benefit them in the long run. And Kanye, once you stop benefiting them in the long run, you are no longer an investable asset. They will divest you as fast as they got rid of their freaking annuities. As fast as they will get rid of their equities when the market tanks. They'll get rid of some stocks, they'll put some in bond, and then they'll take that money and they'll buy the market when it dips down because they don't get emotionally tied to their decisions. You're emotionally tied to your business. These people don't care. They don't care about you. They don't care about your family. They don't care about your business. They care about the money. That's all they care about. That's all they care about, Kanye. And that's the hard reality of business. It's all about dollars and cents, period. And for the people who you thought were your friends, they were studying you too. I don't know if you knew that, but people hang out with other business people to learn how they think. And if you don't know, you need to go ahead and read 50 Cent's book, Hustle Smarter, Not Harder. And he schools you to the game. He schools you to, even Shaquille O'Neal talks about it. Shaquille O'Neal talks about how he has used pretending, not even being, because Shaquille O'Neal's a brilliant man. He has pretended to be dumb and to use it as an advantage in business. Because when you are dumb, you don't seem like a threat. And when you are not a threat, people will tell you their ideas because you are not a threat. Kanye, you are a threat, which means no one's giving you anything, but they're sucking you dry. They know you like to run that yapper. They know you like to talk and you like to hear yourself talk. And I did a whole course. So I have these courses that I'm doing about career coaching. And so one of my first course, which happened last night, to all those who joined, I don't talk about it on YouTube because this is not that platform for that. But I talked about the 6 types of managers and how to handle them. That was week 1. And week 1, we talked about the 6 types. And one of the types is the narcissist. And how do you beat out a narcissist? You let them talk. They will expose themselves. And that is what Kanye does every turn. He gaps and gaps and gaps and gaps and gaps and gaps and gaps until he exposes things that people can use against him. And that is what's happening to him. He's word vomiting to the point of self-destruction. And I know he doesn't want a PR firm because he at this point, no one will take him. He's a risk. He's a risk. But he's pushed all his chips in. It's like a game of poker. Kanye said all in. He said all in. And so here we go. We'll see what happens.
I see the Hulu ads and I say the JP Chase Morgan ads. I'm going to let y'all know right now, the devil is a defeated foe. You can't poison me. And by the way, y'all already fuck with me so much. Y'all
they did.
Black mirrored me.
They did.
Made everybody think I'm crazy.
Absolutely.
Took my family away.
Sure did. Colonization. Separated your friends. And there you go.
Because when I was on TV,
they Regina George you.
I don't know where my child is. And the Kardashians kidnapped my daughter in public. And I didn't have the address to my child. None of these niggas. They
let you know that you're gonna have to play your part. You got to play your part and play your position. And it is not lost upon me that the Kardashian family is so deeply tied into the media. I think that at this point, they own shares of almost every major media news outlet. I'm convinced of it. Whether it's through a trust, a LLC, a corporation, some back-end deal, handshake and high five. I'm almost confident that they have a share in some capacity into almost every major media outlet that reports on celebrity news and gossip, because they can shift and paint a narrative about almost anybody. Almost anybody, in my opinion. And they Regina George them. It's crazy.
Far as Meek Mills, Puff Daddy, whoever, none of these niggas, all you fake hard niggas, fuck you. No, hold on.
And now he's angry with everybody who he thought was his friends, who he thought had power, who he thought had influence, who he thought had stakes in the game. He's angry with all of them because he has come to the realization that Kanye, people will support you and they will love you, but not at the expense of two things, especially when you're dealing with other psychopaths in the best way, because not all psychopaths are violent. When I say psychopaths in business, I'm I'm not talking about violent people. I'm talking about people who are incredibly intelligent, who are incredibly savvy, and who must win at all costs. They are so focused on themselves and self-preservation and the generational wealth that they don't care about anything else. And the examples that you're using, do you think that Diddy is willing to sacrifice the generational wealth he's built for his own black children for you? He's not. He never would. No business person would. Same thing with Jay-Z. Same thing with every other person you mentioned. No one is going to risk their generational livelihood because they understand that this is a game of chess, not checkers, Kanye. And in chess, you are not the most powerful piece on the board. Black people, I don't care who we are, we don't have the resources, opportunity, network, community, or money to ever be kings outside of our own homes, which is our individual chessboards. But in the chessboard of life, black people don't have the power to be a king or a queen. We don't. We don't. You're not the king. You can be a rook, you can be a knight, you can be a pawn, you can be whatever you want, but we don't have it. We just don't have the connections to be a king. No one's going to sacrifice their livelihood to protect you, Kanye, because in the game of life that is chess, you are not the king. You're not the king. Someone else is, and they damn sure ain't black. But that's all I had to say for today, you guys. Thank you to everybody who tuned into the live. I appreciate you all very much. Maybe I'll be back later if something more impassioned happens. But I just want to say prayers to Kanye, prayers to the Floyd family, because I could only imagine how traumatizing or re-traumatizing those comments could have been to them. So my heart and condolences are with them. And to Kanye, I pray for your next move because we shall see. Everybody have a good night and like the live on the way out if you can. Thank you guys and bye bye.